The movie begins by showing a Mafia figure seizing land in a residential area. Initially, he intends to build a place for his drug business in that settlement. On the other hand, a police detective named Zoe, who is waiting for the right moment to capture the Mafia boss. When the time comes, Zhao and his subordinates come out and immediately chase after him. It doesn't take long for Zhao to corner the Mafia, but instead of surrendering, the man threatens to jump from the building if the police insist on arresting him. Fortunately, Zhou's subordinate named Li manages to capture him and take him to the police station. After capturing the Mafia, Zhao is approached by the police commander, who asks him to focus on the Mafia land case. At that moment, the police commander wants this issue to be resolved to its roots because the Mafia will continue to harm civilians. On the other hand, the Mafia is having a meeting to discuss their recently captured eldest leader, and one of the members is Feng, an ambitious Mafia member who wants to become the new boss in the organization. However, the throne is passed to another Mafia named Wang because he is considered the wisest. At the same time, Zhao, Li, and the police come to meet them to get some information about their eldest brother. Seeing the arrival of the police, Wang immediately behaves well and promises to cooperate with the police until the case is resolved. However, this makes Feng very angry. When he returns to his headquarters, he vents his anger with a brawl. It turns out Feng doesn't like Wang's overly friendly attitude toward the police, and he believes someone like that is not worthy of becoming the boss in the organization. Moreover, he believes that the police will underestimate the Mafia if they always act like losers. Knowing this, Feng's younger brother named Fang proposes a plan to assassinate Wang, so they both can take over the organization completely. Without wasting time, Fang approaches a hitman named Zhang. It turns out Zhang is one of the most dangerous assassins in China and always successfully executes his targets. At that moment, Fang instructs Zhang to kill Wang. However, Fang will pay him after the assassination mission is completed, and he will settle the payment according to the agreed price. On the other hand, Wang and his henchmen are having a party. At that moment, Wang feels happy because he has testified to the police, so he won't be implicated in the land-grabbing case. After enjoying the party, he steps out of the restaurant to smoke. But not long after, Zhang arrives and immediately kills him. After that, Zhang goes to a secluded place to burn all the evidence, including his motorcycle. The next day, the police commander orders Zhou and Li to investigate the murder case from last night, and this case must be solved within 3 days. According to the police commander, the murder is related to the land seizing case. After hearing the commander's order, Zhao rushes to gather information, even though the deadline given by his commander is very short. Without wasting time, Zhao and Li immediately visit Wang's wife named Juanzi. At that moment, Zhao and Li interrogate Juanzi about her life with Wang. It turns out, Juanzi had been forced to marry Wang because her father had a lot of debt. After hearing this fact, Zhao becomes suspicious that Juanzi is the mastermind behind Wang's murder. However, she denies the accusation and says she is not interested in taking over Wang's wealth. Shortly after, Zhao visits Feng and Fang at their headquarters. Without hesitation, Zhao directly asks whether the two Mafias have killed Wang because Zhao knows that the organization's power will fall into Feng's hands if Wang dies. Not accepting Zhou's accusation, Fang gets furious and almost attacks Zhao, but Fang's action is stopped by Feng. After returning from Feng's headquarters, Zhao receives a report that the murderer's motorcycle has been found. After that, Zhao and Li immediately go to the mentioned location. Upon arrival, Zhou immediately gathers all the available evidence and tracks the engine number on the motorcycle. That night, Feng visits Fang, who appears to be stressed. Fang then tells Feng that the police have found evidence of the murder, so they have to find a solution to avoid being implicated. After that, they finally decide to eliminate Zhang, the hitman. Meanwhile, at the police station, one of Zhou's subordinates named Yuan comes with information that the killer's identity has been identified, along with his hiding place. Knowing this, Zhao, Li, and Yuan immediately head to the mentioned location. Upon arrival, Zhou instructs his subordinates to spread out. However, they must not attack without orders from Zhao to avoid harming civilians. On the other hand, Zhang receives a call from Fang instructing him to come to a certain place to collect the payment. and Fang has prepared a car for the getaway. After receiving the news, Zhang leaves his hiding place and heads to the location specified by Fang. At the same time, Zhao orders Li and Yuan to follow Zhang and continue monitoring him from a distance. When Zhang arrives at the money pickup location, the police see him take a bag and approach a car prepared for escape. Not wanting to lose track, the police immediately ambush him. Meanwhile, from a distance, Feng and Fang are monitoring the situation. It turns out they have prepared a bomb inside Zhang's car to eliminate him, but their plan is disrupted by the arrival of the police. When Zhou and his team successfully capture Zhang, they immediately gather all the evidence and report it to their commander. However, a powerful explosion suddenly occurs inside the car. Seeing this, Feng becomes angry at Fang for detonating the bomb recklessly. On the other hand, Li is injured in the explosion, so Zhao and the surviving police officers immediately go to the hospital to save him. Outside the treatment room, Zhao looks deeply sad and guilty for not being able to protect Li. After that, Zhao promises not to let the perpetrators escape. Not long after, Zhang wakes up in the hospital severely injured. Zhou and the police commander visit him to ask about the mastermind behind Wang's murder. After interrogation, Zhang finally reveals that Feng and Fang were the ones who hired him. At the same time, Fang visits Zhuanzi, who turns out to be still family related. Additionally, Zhuanzi is revealed to be involved in the plot to murder her husband, Wan. Before the police can arrest them, Fang persuades Zhuanzi to flee out of town with Feng. The next day, Feng and his subordinates packed their belongings and were about to leave for their hiding place. While others were busy organizing their belongings, Fang was still waiting for Zhuanzi to arrive. Shortly after, the police arrived and surrounded the headquarters. Feng and Fang immediately fled, even disregarding their subordinates, as the most important thing was to avoid being thrown into jail. Seeing this, Zhou immediately chased after them. When Feng was cornered, he was forced to fight against Zhao. Surprisingly, Feng managed to defeat Zhao, even though Zhao was one of the most brutal fighters in the police force. However, Zhou rose again and pursued Feng, but during the chase, Zhuanzi arrived to save Feng and Fang, and the three of them fled in a car. After that, Zhao hurried to catch up, and a chase ensued. Unfortunately, the pursuit had to stop because the police car's windshield was damaged, impairing Zhou's visibility. At that moment, Zhou immediately smashed the windshield, and with his detective instinct, he continued the pursuit despite losing sight of them. Meanwhile, Feng and Fang arrived at the headquarters of a mafia named Lao, who had once been their ally. There, Feng forced Lao to hand over money, while threatening to kill him if he refused. With no other choice, Lao reluctantly handed over the money, but he secretly called the police for help. However, Feng found out and mercilessly beat Lao. At the same time, Zhao's car tire burst right in front of Feng's car, allowing Zhao to capture the criminals again. Shortly after, Feng and the others decided to head to the Northern Territory. However, Zhao was already waiting for them at the door, and once again, a fight ensued. At that moment, Zhao managed to immobilize Feng, and with one final move, he could have finished him off. But Fang suddenly ran and stabbed Zhou in the arm with a knife, reigniting the fight. Despite Feng overwhelming Zhou, Zhao emerged victorious. After defeating Feng, Zhou immediately handcuffed him, but Feng managed to rise and electrocute Zhou, and Feng escaped once again. Upon regaining consciousness, Zhao learned that Feng and Fang had fled again, so Zhao went out to pursue them. However, Zhao was once again confronted by one of Feng's subordinates. Fortunately, Zhao was assisted by Lao, who had been beaten by Feng earlier, so he didn't have to exert much effort to defeat Feng's man. Not only that, Lao also gave Zhou a motorcycle so that Zhao could chase after Feng. On the other hand, Feng, Fang, and Zhuanzi had entered the snowy forest area. Before heading to the city border, they stopped at a cabin to treat Fang's wound. At that moment, Feng held the cabin owner hostage to prevent them from reporting to the police. After that, Zhuanzi started treating Fang's wound, while Feng intended to find the nearest clinic and buy some wound medicine. Upon hearing this, Fang instructed Zhuanzi to go with Feng so they could escape before Zhou arrived. Before leaving, Feng gave a rifle to Fang, hoping he could defend himself until Feng brought back the medicine. Shortly after, Feng and Zhuangzi began their journey. But in the middle of the journey, Zhuangzi became suspicious of Feng because he was driving towards the border, not to where the clinic was located. It turns out Feng admitted that he was willing to leave Feng to die alone as long as he could escape the police chase. Hearing this, Zhuangzi couldn't believe Feng's words, so she eventually snatched Feng's pistol and pointed it at him. However, Feng ignored the threat and instead kicked Zhuangzi out of the car. On the other hand, Zhao was still trying to track down Feng and Fang by following the tracks of their car wheels. Shortly after, Zhao finally found the cabin where Fang was staying. Upon arriving, Zhao saw traces of blood leading into the cabin. So, Zhao was convinced that Feng had passed through that place. Meanwhile, inside the cabin, Fang was on high alert with his gun ready. However, Zhao managed to deceive Fang and threatened to kill him if he didn't reveal Feng's location. Shortly after, Zhuangzi returned and informed them that Feng had escaped to the border area. Hearing this, Fang was in disbelief because he believed Feng wouldn't betray him. However, Zhuangzi assured him that Feng was a selfish criminal who didn't deserve to be considered a brother. Meanwhile, Zhao contacted the commander and requested assistance from the medical team to treat Fang's wounds, because Zhao wouldn't let the criminal die before facing trial. Over the phone, the commander instructed Zhao to capture Feng before he fled the city. Shortly after, a police convoy and the medical team arrived, securing the area and treating Fang. At the same time, the commander dispatched a special forces unit to head to the border. They were tasked with guarding the area and not letting anyone pass without inspection. Shortly after, Feng couldn't continue his journey because he ran out of fuel. Feng was forced to walk on foot. Not long after, Zhao spotted a parked car in the middle of the road. After checking it, Zhao was convinced that the car was driven by Feng. Eventually, Zhao decided to follow the footprints there. On the other hand, Feng felt exhausted and had to rest first. But due to the long stop, Zhao managed to catch up with Feng. Without hesitation, they both immediately fought in the middle of the snowy forest. The fierce battle continued until they both tumbled off a cliff. However, Feng managed to injure Zhou, and he approached the police officer intending to kill him. When he was cornered, Zhao remembered Li, who was injured in the hospital. Additionally, Zhao had promised to capture Feng no matter what. These memories gave Zhou additional strength, and with his remaining strength, Zhao rose again and slammed Feng immediately. But Feng still managed to stand and incapacitate Zhao for the last time. After that, Feng walked away and hijacked a car belonging to a local resident. But when he tried to start the car, Zhao confronted him again, and another fight ensued. At the same time, a police convoy stopped in the middle of the road. At that moment, they saw a civilian lying on the ground and a car crashed into a tree. Upon inspection, it turned out that the occupants of the car were Zhou and Feng, both unconscious. Seeing this, Yuan and the other police officers immediately took them to the hospital. 1 month later, Zhao was officially promoted, marking his greatest achievement. As for the past 20 years, Zhao had only worked as an ordinary police officer. Although he succeeded in his mission, Zhou still cared for Feng and Fang until they recovered, so they could face punishment according to the law. Thanks to Zhou's kindness, the two criminals eventually admitted their mistakes and agreed to serve their prison sentences. Besides them, Zhuangzi also confessed to conspiring with them to kill Wang. At the end of the story, the process of Zhao's promotion is shown. Meanwhile, Li, who was injured in the bomb blast, slowly began to regain consciousness from the coma. Moral lesson from the story: when driving, make sure to put gas in your car. Otherwise, you might end up in a snowball fight with the police in the middle of nowhere.